Peace and love, everybody. This is the Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance Show, and welcome and thank you for listening. Every show we start by giving praise and honor to the ancestors, for it is their shoulders upon whom I stand. Welcome to the Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance Show. Greetings, everyone. Nice to listen to you all or have you all listen to us. I want to say what's up to my engineer and fabulous producer, Flaw 700. What's up, Flaw?
What's going on?
Don't you need a mic? We're back. Yay! Well, we have a series of fabulous shows lined up for you. Y'all know my lane is health and wellness, spirituality, and of course, mind, body, energy, and balance. And I'm so happy to be back podcasting and sharing this information that's on my heart. And hopefully these messages will be nourishing to you all as well. Sometimes you just gotta, take a self-care break. And sometimes life presents you with opportunities that you think are going to be one thing, and you get in it and spirit lets you know that's not it. Or you just learn from the life experiences that you have. We are all on a journey, and all the paths lead to your development and your spiritual upliftment if you have the mind and perspective to see them in that way. Does that make sense? So today's show, I want to talk to you about something that I've been observing, and the message was put on my heart to share with everyone. Today's show is the spiritual science behind bearding, behind wearing a beard. We look around our culture, particularly our culture in the Black community, but not just the Black community. It is a cultural phenomenon across the United States. Men are donning their beards, and it's fabulous. Mostly shaved heads, but some others don't shave their head, but they wear beards. Wearing a beard is an age-old tradition. Going back, we can find the history of it going back to the ancient Egyptians, some 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Excuse me. Men have worn beards in every tradition. The Irish, the Celtics, the Italians, some of the Roman people, the Grecos have worn beards. A lot of them were clean shaven, especially those that were in political offices. But mostly the scholars wore beards. And then, of course, we come to the African traditions. The Rastafari men wear beards. When we go to India, the gurus wear beards, right? So what is this phenomenon of bearding that has taken over and is really swelling and really becoming more and more popular in more and more present in popular culture? Well, first we need to understand, y'all know me, I'm the mind, body, energy lady. And first we need to understand is how the body is configured. Even if we don't have a conscious understanding of these things, it does not mean that it ain't real, right? Okay, case in point, what you talking about, Mama Yoga? We may not exactly know how gravity works, but go try jump off a building. And you will come to a clean understanding of the gravity of gravity. So we may not have all the scientific, tangible understanding around these phenomena, but it doesn't mean that they are not real, right? So our bodies are vibrational instruments. Every aspect of your body resonates at a certain vibration. So the top of your head The very top, when a baby is born, you say, watch the baby's soft spot. There's a little spot on the top of the baby's head. You could actually see it pulsating when you look at it, right? Like a heartbeat in the brain. Are you with me? That's called the soft spot, right? Or that's called, in spiritual culture, that's your crown chakra. That's the energy where the highest manifestation of energy comes into the human body. That's why it's always protected, and it never fully closes into your ancient age. You could be 90 years old, and that part of your head will still have a bit of an indentation and a tenderness to it. Then we move down to the front of the face, and then right between the eyebrows is known as the ajna, or the eyebrow, or the third eye chakra. That point on the body is very much geared towards psychic and intuitive receptivity and tuning in. Right? If you're even in maybe a Pentecost church or a religious Christian church that practices, praising in a very physical way, you'll see people roll their eyes up into their head as they shout and praise. Right? This is also activating that third eye or ajna chakra area. Right? Then we come down to, and I'm going to bypass the part, I'm talking about the beard now. Don't get lost with me. I'm just trying to understand the body as a vibrational instrument. The next chakra that is widely acknowledged is the throat chakra. And then we move to the center of the sternum, just above the nipple line, and then further down towards the right where a person's bra straps, or right below the nipple line. That is known as the heart chakra. Then we have the solar plexus just above the navel. And these are very strong chakras on the body. All right. The body is a vibrational instrument. Get back to the beard. The energy on the planet is very female now. Right? We know that. The Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, the We Ain't No More movement. Women are in larger numbers taking leadership positions in political landscape. Women are coming up and speaking against people who they perceive to have abused them. It is a very female dominant energy time on the planet. And what is the balance to that? Is the male energy becomes balanced, right? So on your physical vehicle, aside from your gonadal region, aside from your reproductive areas that determine you to be, in scientific terms, male or female. I'm not talking about whether a person feel like they was born in a man's body and they feel like they supposed to be a woman. We're not talking about that. We're talking about historic gender, as well as scientific vibrational metaphysical energy, right? So the planet has moved from a male dominating energy to now returning to a female influence, the divine feminine, as it were. That's why you see all of this surgence and strife around, listen, you're going to stop the abuse. Women are taking their place. Now, that's a good thing, because everything has to come into balance. And from where I stand, it doesn't mean that, from where I stand, it don't mean that we discount men. That may be somebody else's tradition, but that's not what I'm talking about. And that's showing Afrocentric tradition. Right? But it does mean that everybody's contribution has to be acknowledged. Everybody's contribution to making the society a success has to be acknowledged. So when the planetary energy changes toward a more female or feminine energy influence, what happens to the male energy? Does that mean the male energy is going to become feminine? No, that's not what we're saying, or what we even are desiring, or what is happening on the planet. But what does happen is the spirit, the planetary energy, seeks to balance out All things, right? Mind, body, energy, and balance. So if there's a rise in female energy, then there needs to be a comparable rise in male energy. On the human body, the chin is the lunar part of the body. The female energy is lunar, is moon, right? The sun, the moon, and the stars. Male's energy, by and large, I'm not talking about individuated nuances in people, but by and large, male energy is a solar, a sun, a fire, a warrior energy. Female energy is moon-based, is lunar-based. It's flowing with the tides. You know, when the moon, the cycles of the moon change, it affects the ocean tides, right? If you go to the beach around the full moon, you can't go in the water because the water is so aggressive because of the shift of the lunar energy of the moon being full. Back in the day in the emergency room, and I worked in emergency rooms, the closer it got to the full moon, the more violent instances would happen. And the emergency room is hella busy around the full moon, right? This is just a documented fact. You can do your Googles and go find this information if you need further understanding and convincing about it. So on the human body, the lunar energy rests, the yogis say the lunar energy rests at the chin. When a man grows a beard, he is keeping his male energy high and balanced, as opposed to dipping into a more feminine energy. Come on here now. When a man grows a beard, in varied cultures around the world, it is a sign of virility. It is a sign of masculinity. It is a sign of strong alpha male dominance in your own self. Not that you dominate other people, but it's a sign. I could say that better. It's a sign of being proud to be a man. Proud to have some gonads on the outside of the body, y'all. Come on here now. Mama Yoga back, y'all. So when a man wears a beard, especially if you go into a yogic tradition like, let's say Kundalini Yoga, all the men in Kundalini Yoga wear beards. All of them. If they are practitioners, holy practitioners of Kundalini Yoga, they do not cut any hair off of their body. In yogic tradition, especially from the Sikhi perspective, and from the guru perspective, cutting the hair on the body is causing a change, a chemical change within the energy balance of the body, right? So specifically, the men do not shave their hair. They grow beard to protect that masculine energy. The other thing that a beard does, or covering the lunar energy of the chin by growing a beard, is women are emotional. We are just emotional. That is how God created us, because we have to connect to the children and the rest of the family. We are by and large emotional. Again, I'm not talking about the one-off or, circumstances that have caused a person to become hardened or, more stoic in life. The general vibration of the female energy is like the flowing tide. It is emotional. Men who are supposed to protect the families and protect the village and protect the culture cannot afford to be wishy-washy and emotional about shit, y'all. Right? When a dude is emotional, his feminine energy is out of balance. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Don't be emailing me. I don't want to hear it. It's the truth. When a man is emotional, y'all women out here who listen to me, y'all don't want no emotional dude. He too much work. Right? Tell him to grow a beard. Oh, if it were that simple. But I'm talking from a metaphysical perspective. Unless you're tuned in, these philosophies and these realities that I'm sharing with you are not really perceptive to you. But if you are a perceptive person, you'll understand what I'm saying to you, right? And you'll see it manifest in the various aspects of people who you deal with, men who you deal with who are bearded, right? The covering the lunar energy on the face helps the man's metaphysical energy stay more balanced and stay less emotional, right? Less whiny, based on what is happening in, the food supply chain. The foods have been altered to a point where they have the least amount of nutrition in them. Everything is processed out. The nutritional value of most foods that's being served to the population has too much estrogenic property in the food. Too much estrogen chemical in the food. That's why you see, like never before in the history, men with breasts, because the food is heavily laden with estrogen, with preservatives that produce an estrogen effect in men. You see women with bigger derrieres than is natural. And you can tell when a person is supposed to have a big booty because their leg follows suit. You with me? You ain't gonna have no big old butt and no chicken legs. That is obvious. That don't work. But if her legs are thick all the way up and it's proportion, that's a natural body design. That's her natural DNA. Now, because the food is so estrogen based, even if a man is heterosexual, and please don't be emailing me talking about mama yoga against gay people. No, that's not the case. That's not what we're talking about. Even if a man is heterosexual, he's still softer in his expression than he was 20 years ago. And that's because of the food and the various onslaughts, external as well as internal, the various circumstances, female-headed household, women are doing the best we can. But I truly stand in the space that it takes a man to raise men. It just does. Men, we need male and female in our life. We need men and women in our lives. So, the landscape of family, the structure has changed. So people are more, fluid than they used to be. Right? And so this emergence of men wearing beards is really a universal whisper to say, keep that male energy balanced. The female energy is on the planet, and that is as it should be. It is our time, damn it, to try to balance out what has been imbalanced by too much uncultivated testosterone. Even when you look at the greatest civilization known to man, the ancient Egyptians, their men were as dominant as any man in the rest of the world, but they understood the place that their partner was the feminine energy. So they did not try to, and this is all documented. You can read Raoul Neffer's book, Not Out of Greece. You can read John Henry Clark's work. You can read Civilization, African Civilization Before America. You can read all of these books that tell you the counterpart. The man understood, the African man understood that his balance and counterpart was his strong, empowered woman. She was not subservient. She was the first woman on the planet to own her own property, to raise her children how she needed to raise them. She, in fact, in many African cultures, even to this day, the lineage, the financial wealth comes through the woman. It's matrilineal and matriarchal. And again, no slight to men, but African men agreed with that structure and said, okay, this works perfect for us. And we'll profess, and protect like we're supposed to do, and y'all raise these children and take care of the farming and the agriculture and help us steer the nation partner arm in arm. So the universal energy seeks to balance out whatever season we as humanity are in. And we are in the season of the return of the divine feminine. And brothers donning the beard is a whisper from universal spirit that this energy is upon the planet, but it doesn't mean that we want men to be feminine. So don your beard, protect that lunar energy so that you can stay as men steadfast, focused, firm when you need to be firm, and not flowing like the tides in the ocean. That is a woman's vibration. That's female vibration, to be flowing. I don't know. Okay, fine. You know, even the hardest woman, if you say something to her the right way, she will melt and do what you want her to do. Hello. I don't know one woman who has had whatever trauma or whatever she's had in her life, and you know, if her man is very male and she can rely on him, that's what she wants. You know, who want to be doing everything themselves? That is not natural, to have to run your entire life by yourself without a proper counterpart that you can rely on, right? But the reality of it is, in this country and throughout the world, people of color, particularly African people, you know, we're separated from our tradition, particularly African Americans, because Africans coming from the continent, they still have their tradition pretty much intact, which we're thankful, because many of us are connecting with them to try to resect our traditions back together. And the women are wholly powerful. Quiet as it's kept, y'all, even the Muslim women. They are wholly powerful. But their men are donning beards too. Right? And it may not be for the same conscious reason, but it is a universal law that the beard protects the male energy and keeps it strong. So it's no surprise to me when I look around and there's all these beard groups and, you know, all these people, there's these bearding clubs and pomades and oils and keep your beard fresh, and everywhere you go you see brothers particularly looking fabulous with those beards, just scrumptious, y'all. With the beard, and the brothers with the gray beards, oh Lord. So it is a declaration of manhood, whether they're conscious about it or not. The spiritual and metaphysical science behind wearing a beard is to balance out the divine feminine energy that is on our planet now and will continue to raise up on the planet, right? Can you turn this off for me? My timer's going off and I don't know how to work it. Flaw 700 is going to fix it for me. That's what you got a producer and an engineer for. Oh, good. Yeah. So it's to balance out the female energy, thank you, that's on the planet, right? And, you know, no matter what a person's, we're not talking about sex. We're talking about energy. I hope everybody's clear about that, right? It is to balance out the male energy, because that energy is rising on the planet. The female energy is rising on the planet. It's not spirit intention that men become more feminine. It's intention that they cultivate their masculinity. I heard somebody talk about toxic masculinity. Well, that's not really a thing that is in African culture anciently. Now, everybody's been affected by the onslaught and plague of colonialism and slavery. All societies around the entire world have been affected by the movement of Europeans into their space and changing the ecosystem of their culture. And this has, in many cases, created this thing or this dynamic known as toxic masculinity, right? And that is, inner work that people have to do on themselves to balance that out. So divine feminine energy is rising, and she knows her counterpart is divine masculine energy. And so to help balance that out until people on a large scale begin to understand, well, wait a minute now, I got to try to, function from a higher side of myself instead of a dominant just because I got bigger muscles, just because I'm the stronger being, just because, I can break something. I have to function higher than that. Until people rise to that, Spirit is like, well, we're not necessarily saying you need to become feminine. So wear a beard, protect the energy, because the energy's all around you. And that's not what we're trying to get men to do. That's the Spirit. I'm speaking for the Spirit, y'all. So the metaphysics is to help protect the lunar energy so that help protect the masculine energy that's brought about by the rise of the lunar feminine energy, which on the human body is primarily concentrated in the chin area. Got any questions, Flo? You see your brain is moving.
I always wondered why has been fears.
Mm-hmm.
They just come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered.
Yeah. So we think that we're making decisions, and we are, but there is there's an intelligent mind at work. That is the universal mind. And even though things look bananas, all things are in order. Now, that's my truth. That's the truth that I live by in my life, right? Even when my own life is like chaotic and bananas and what is going on and why is this hard, so hard. Everything that I went through and go through in my life, I stand in the space that it is to bring me to a higher space in my life. So we think, oh, you look good with a beard, but it's really a universal whisper in folks' ear to say, cover your lunar energy because we're rising the feminine energy on the planet. And our intention is not for you to lose your masculinity. Our intention is for you to find a way to balance that masculine energy with your counterpart, which is a feminine energy. Yeah. That was your question? You know what? We should take some calls because I know you all would probably like to ask some questions too. But next time, what we'll do is we'll put a social media post out saying if you have any questions, I'll let you all know what the topic will be. We could do that, right? Yeah. And then people can call in what the topic would be and what time y'all. And, I welcome. Yeah. That'd be great. Facebook Live. Let's go to IG Live. Yeah. Oh, well, that leaves Twitter out. Anyhow, we'll work that out. And also we have guests coming on because, as I had been promising you, previously, we're going to manifest, in this current, cycle of my life. I have so blessed to have connection to so many, wellness and healers and, holistic health practitioners and metaphysicians of color. We can go on YouTube and find tons of people talking about, Gaia Earth and talking about spirituality and, how to use spirituality for various things that don't look like us. It's almost like we're bogarted out of those arenas. But I did not, ever try to integrate into somebody else's house. What's wrong with our house? Our house is fabulous, right? So if we don't have an arena for our practitioners, our holistic wellness and spiritual practitioners of color, well, dang nabbit, we should just create it. We creating everything else. So we might as well just create it. So that's what we're doing here on the Mind, Body, Energy in Balance show. And in the coming weeks, you'll have talks from, again, the wealth of practitioners that I'm blessed to be connected to. And they can share their information and knowledge with you. And then we'll set it up where we open up and have discussions from you, the community, the family, Now, what I want to say is once this post goes up, If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have any information that you want to share about the science, the metaphysical science of bearding, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you have to say. And if it gets that intense, we might do a whole nother show with some guests, get a panel with some fabulously bearded brothers in the room. Talk about it. Talk about how their energy has changed. You know, sometimes a man grows a beard and he starts working out. Increasing, right? And what does that working out do? It increases his testosterone, which is increasing the masculine energy. Men and women have testosterone, just like men and women have estrogen, except your chromosome determines whether or not you have more of one or the other, so that you can either be, you know, a male energy or female energy, male physically, female physically, right? So, I mean, we're open. We're not, closed or anything. We're open. We want to have these discussions with you, our peeps out there, in the black verse, in the black, digital world, right? So that's the show for today. Thank you so much for listening. Again, check us out. We're on iTunes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Flaw 700 is the man. You hear what I'm saying? And he wears a beard. So shout out to the podcast brothers, Fresco J and Flaw, of course. They're doing the darn thing. If you're ever in the Trenton area, why don't you come to our family business, Trenton Prime Seafood, here at 439 South Broad Street. They are sponsoring this show here. So come on through. It's Wednesday through Sunday. Lovely, fresh seafood that you can enjoy here. And you can look on my Facebook page. I'm going to have several events that I'm speaking at that you can come out to and share your energy, as well as be encouraged and learn some things about your mind, body, energy, and balance. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Peace and love. Peace and love, everyone. Samut here from the Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance Show. The Mind, Body, Energy, and Balance Show is strictly for information purposes only. We are not physicians and are not intending to diagnose, treat, or suggest any type of health or medical treatment to our listening audience. If you hear information on our show that sounds useful to you, please be sure and do your research, follow up with your own healthcare practitioner, and use wise judgment. Thank you for listening and have a great day. Peace and love.